Okay guys, the 64 Impala got dropped off this morning. This is going to be a quick paint job. This is not going to be a perfect show car paint job by any means. This car is just getting fixed up to be sold. We're just going to do a nice paint job on it. We're going to do a little nicer than we did on the Plymouth Scamp. But we're not going crazy. We're going to replace some of these moldings that are dinged up, dented up and stuff like that. We have some rust holes to fix. So we're just going to cut these out, weld in new metal. This quarter panel on both sides is pretty screwed up down here. It's bulging out right here. There's supposed to be a seam here. There's no seam here. So I don't know what they did to it, but we're probably going to end up cutting this out where we need to and making our own repair panel out of sheet metal. We'll put some weld through primer on the backside to keep the backside of the bare sheet metal from rusting. We could order those parts, but we're trying to get this done quickly, and I don't really feel like waiting a week or two to get those when it's really not that hard of a piece to make. What we'll do is we'll make the flat piece first, and then we'll make the lip separately, and we'll weld it together here in the corner. So there's gonna be a lot of welding and fabricating to do. We got our bubble here. Now how bad that is, I don't know. I'm guessing it's probably gonna end up being a hole. We might have to cut a little square out here and patch that in. I think I'm gonna pull the doors, trunk lid and hood off. Not sure if I'm gonna pull the fenders off or not. Might just leave the fenders on and you know, paint the engine compartment satin black and stuff like that. Clean all this up. Just make it really nice, presentable car that can be driven and it looks really good. You know, we're not getting crazy and doing a frame off restoration on it. If somebody wants to do that to the car that buys it in the future, they can. You know, that's up to them. But overall, it's a pretty decently solid car. The floors are nice and everything. Even in the trunk's nice. Let me grab the keys. Interior's rough. You know, the seats are ripped up and stuff. But, you know, dashboard's all there. It's in good shape. Door cards and everything are nice. Seats definitely need recovered. You know, it needs new quarter windows and stuff. But I don't know if, you know, how far this guy is going to go or not. It's a buddy of mine that I will do a couple cars a year for him. I really don't do cars for people anymore. I will do a few here and there for him just to help him out. I guess he bought this car sight unseen and was definitely lied to when he bought it. But even in the trunk is actually really nice shape. It's really not bad. I'll probably just touch some stuff up, just, you know, clean it up. Like I said, we're not going to go crazy with this. It looks like it's had one repaint. Even the trunk lid, all the seams are pretty decent on it. Even down here is not bad. So we're going to paint the same color again. We're going to probably use an eBay paint, cheap again. Like I said, we're trying to keep this on a budget so he doesn't lose money on the car. Obviously, the guy that sold it to him kind of screwed him over by misrepresenting it, but it is what it is. We'll get it cleaned up, make it look good again, and somebody should be able to get a nice 64 convertible for a reasonable price, be able to get in it and drive it, not have to worry about you know, big rust issues or shit like that. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna cut out those bad spots and weld them in. So I'm not gonna just grind them down and Bondo over it and then the next person gets it and a year later it starts bubbling up. I'm gonna fix it the right way. Rather than using a patch panel, I'm gonna make my own panels, but at least it'll be solid and it's not gonna go rusting through on the guy. So what I'm gonna do today, it's Saturday, I'm gonna get all the molding stripped off, probably take the hood and trunk lid off, and I don't know if I can get these doors off without taking the fenders off. I think I can, but I haven't done a 64 Impala in a long time. I'll bet you it's probably been 15-20 years since I've done one, so I'm a little rusty on how these go together. I don't really think I want to get into taking the fenders and everything off. Like I said, we need to get this done and we need to get it done quick. So I don't need to spend weeks reassembling the front end because I stripped it all apart and everything. So, all right, I'm gonna probably set up the tripod here in a few and show you how I'm gonna take off these moldings as long as I remember how to do it. I know that the door moldings have a screw, and see how tight this is? This is touching the quarter panel, but we got a pretty decent gap here. So we might even have to slide the fender forward a little bit, but that's not too big a deal. We could probably slide that forward and close this gap up a little bit here, but that's actually a pretty good gap. Right here is real tight. So I don't know what happened to this car at one point, but the doors and everything, they shut good. But obviously you can't have the quarter panel touching the door. But on these trim and stuff, we need to take the screw out here, and there might be one on the inside, I think. Yes, there's a nut right there. I think we take those two out, and I think the rest are push-in on these push pins, I think, if I remember correctly. So what we'll do is we'll grab a, and also I need to get the bodywork done and spot primered on this bed this weekend for the dually. But I believe these are just push pins. And what I like to use is these little, just a little putty knife, 2-inch knife, and just kind of lightly pry on it. Hopefully those plastic, well, you know what, if those plastic clips break, not a big deal because they sell all that stuff, so I'm not too worried about that. So all right, let me quit talking, get the tripod set up, and we'll start tearing this down. Okay guys, let's start on the door. I don't know why I'm starting on the door. It's just I want to see how these moldings come off. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to take the door panels off. I was kind of hoping not to have to do all that, but I'm not going to have a choice because I'm not going to be able to get the door handles out. Like I said, we want to do a decent paint job here. I don't want to go taping around the handles and everything else. We want it to be nice, but not perfect, you know. So basically, I need to get these screws off, and I'm going to replace these screws with clean ones, not painted blue ones. Stupid things like that. It goes a long way, you know. We're going to end up replacing the weather stripping shot. Plus, if any of you guys have painted cars, you know that weather stripping never tapes off. You can put tape on it and then it'll be great and fine, and then you start spraying paint or clear, and all of a sudden the tape pulls back and then you got blue paint on your weather stripping. So it's just not even worth the effort and time to try to do that, especially when it's just falling apart. So we're just going to replace the door weather stripping and the trunk weather stripping. That's it. I'm not going to pull these locks out and stuff like that. This will tape off. We'll just respray everything else. I think what I'm going to do is I have my mixing cups here that I'm going to put my hardware into. I think I'm going to do one for the passenger door, one for the driver's door, just to try to keep all this hardware in order and make it a little bit quicker to reassemble. Like I said, I don't want to get into a huge project here that's going to take me months to put back together. We need to get this done. We need to get it done quick, and we need to do a good job on it. So let's, like I said, I have, look at that, it's not even on there good. I have not done a 64 Impala in probably 15 or 20 years. It's been a long time. So I need to get a square drive bit for those. I need to remember how these things come apart. The window cranks have a clip on them, so let me go grab a couple tools. Let's pop this door panel off, and then we're going to get that molding off the outside. These upper moldings here, we're probably going to leave these on because I don't know that I want to get into that major effort. I'm not sure yet. Paint's peeling right on that edge. Might tape it off and just slide the sandpaper under there and sand it down. We're going to take the mirrors off, door handles, door locks, stuff like that. You know, it takes a little bit of time to take it apart, but it makes it a heck of a lot easier to paint it. Because I don't care how good a painter you are, it always ends up looking a little crappy around the handles if you paint around them. So let me grab a couple tools and let's pull off this interior door panel. Okay, let's see if we can find a square drive bit. I always thought these were Phillips, and I think they were. I don't know if somebody maybe changed them, or maybe they were square drive originally, and the last one I did, somebody changed them to Phillips bits. I don't know. I'm definitely not an expert on these cars by any means, but I mean, once you've taken apart a few cars in your lifetime, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's not like I don't know what I'm doing as far as that goes, but just not familiar with it, haven't done one in a while. So I found a square drive bit. Let's get these screws out of the bottom of this door panel. And hopefully, like some of these videos will help you guys that are taking these cars apart. At least if I struggle through it, it'll help you guys to not have to struggle through it, because you'll see what I'm struggling on. We're just going to throw these interior door panels and everything right in the back seat of the car. This is going to probably be a pretty long video, probably a good hour or so. I'll have to start and stop here and there because if I record straight, taking this whole body apart, it's going to be a 4 or 5 hour video probably. So we don't want to make it that long. But if I can just kind of jump around and show you different things. And then tomorrow, like I said, we'll start the body work. Like the doors are in good shape, the trunk lid's in good shape, the hood's in good shape. So maybe tomorrow we knock out the doors, hood, and trunk lid. We get them all body worked and in primer, even if I get a chance, so that those can sit for a few days and start drying while I work on the quarter panels. And the fender bottoms are pretty messed up. I'm trying to be careful here not to screw up these door panels because they are in pretty decent shape. Okay, the bottom's loose. Phillips bits for the handle. Stick that right in the back seat. Now, I have these tools here. These are for taking off moldings and window clips and stuff. I believe this is the one we're going to use for these window clips. So basically, go between the plastic and the window crank, find out which way that clip's going. This way. Hopefully these will fit in there. Sometimes I got to use a pick tool. Sometimes these will not work. That might be the case here. That one's not wide enough. There we go. See how easy it comes off when you have the right tool. These are little horseshoe clips, and what I always do is I like to put them right back on the handle here. It's right back on. Once it's on like this, put this on, and you can just literally push that right back on and it'll clip into place. This one has a screw, Phillips screw holding it on. And we have one more clip in this one. See which direction it's going. This one might fight me a little bit. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna roll this window. No, I can't. I'll have to roll the window down afterwards. I gotta get that door lock off. This one I can't see. You can buy these clips at the hardware store if you lose them. Or not the hardware store, the parts store. Okay, got it. Trying to drop the clip. Okay, now the door panel should just pop off. Should be some clips on the back side. Let's use a tool here. Carefully wiggle it off. There's some plastic clips in here, so basically just take your tool, lightly pull it out. These ones actually have nails and clips. And we can lift it up. Now we are out. Save that plastic. Slide this right into the back seat. That's done. I won't show taking the other door apart. I'm just going to show this one because it's going to do the exact same process on the other side. Let's take this off. Have that off. We have the door handle to take out and the lock. And these ones look like they're a 3/8 socket. Got a hole right here that you can run your extension through to get that. And I don't know if these have, should be a bolt on the back too, which the window's in the way. I'll have to crank the window down. Yep, 2 3/8 bolts, I believe it is. So let me go grab a extension for that. Okay, I got a little 1/4 inch drive set. You know what I find funny is I have drawers full of sockets, all in order, and wrenches and stuff like that. I always use these. I come and get these little, I buy these little kits, 1/4 inch and 3/8, and I find myself using this to take a car apart more than running back and forth to the drawer 50 times. Just a little bit more convenient to have everything you need in just one box here. So I'm going to use this, which is a drill attachment. It goes onto my impact, and then it goes into a extension, and then I believe these are 3/8 nuts inside this door here. By looking at it, I think it's a 3/8, and I'm wrong. It's a 5/16. Perfect, 5/16. So let's go ahead and get out this door handle. There's one. Now I'm going to have to crank that window down. Probably shouldn't have put the clip on the window crank, but I just won't slide it on all the way. I'll just put it on enough, hopefully, that I could spin it. Yeah, I'm going to take this clip off of this one for now. I'll just throw it in my container here, mixing cup. Get this window down. Hopefully, I don't know if I can get to that. There's usually a sweet spot. Might have to reach in there with a wrench and do it that way, or a ratchet rather. I'm gonna have to take my ratchet here and just the socket and reach up in there and do it. I'm sure he's gonna probably put new door handles and stuff on the car. Tell you what, these doors are in pretty nice shape. Ouch. We're gonna panel paint this car, and we are going to hang the doors up in the spray booth, just like as if they were bolted to the car, so that all the metallics fall the same way. So here's our door handle. I'm gonna take that off and put that on the floor in the back seat. Now we just have the door lock left, and then these trim pieces. So the door lock should have a horseshoe clip, I believe. Right on, it's facing that way. Oh yeah, it comes out here on this car. So there's a horseshoe clip right there. Basically take a little putty knife. Might have to get a screwdriver, but usually you can wiggle these back and forth and they'll work out. But this one's really stiff. Grab something a little bit more aggressive. I also have these plastic pry bars and stuff that I use. I like using these because they don't tend to dent the metal when you're prying on it. Let's see if this one fits in here. See that? How nice and easy that works. Doesn't damage it at all. Throw that clip in there. We have to take the lock rod off inside, which I'll show you how that comes off once I get it out of here. See in here. kind of fell apart on me. So basically, this was on wrong, but this here, this slides on, and this is supposed to be on the other side. They had it on wrong. And then this slides onto the other part, and then this goes through it, and then you slide it and it clips on. So now that's out. Sometimes you can get these out and reuse them, clean them up. Bottom one's ripped, but I can have them get new bumpers. These are fairly cheap. It's the dumb things like bumpers and weather stripping and door handles and simple things like screws. Replacing stuff like that makes it look 100 times nicer than just painting over shit, and it just looks like crap afterwards. So now we need to take off the 2 nuts on the other side of the trim here, and I think those might be 3/8 or even bigger. The top one looks like it might even be bigger than 3/8, but I'm not sure. Let's see what we got here. Hopefully I can get to it. Hold on. I might have to use a wrench on the back side here. Let me go grab an open end wrench, a couple of them. Okay, once again, in here in this box are a bunch of ratcheting wrenches. I don't buy real expensive tools. I think I bought this on Amazon for like 40 or 50 bucks. I'm not into buying snap-on tools and stuff. I know a lot of people are, which that's cool if that's what you're into, you know, if you want to have really nice expensive tools. But I've always had really good luck with this stuff, and it's so cheap that if I lose it or I break it, it's not really a big deal. But we're going to try to go in here and get on this nut. This is a speed nut, which is just a sheet metal nut. And I have a drawer full of these, so if I happen to lose them, I can always replace them. Okay, so we have, this actually is not a speed nut, that's a regular nut. Maybe the bottom one is. Okay, so we have that one off. Let's see if we can pry off this top molding here. Take your time with it, go easy. I'm not worried about the clips breaking, I can get new ones. So, I mean, you gotta keep in mind these clips are from 1964. You can only ask for so much. We're not gonna, I think he's changing these moldings. Somebody glued it on over here with double-side tape or silicone or something. Okay, this molding's off. We're just gonna set it up top. Got a couple clips here. Let's grab a pry bar and see if we can pry those off. My door just latched on me. Let's see if we can use one of these pry bars to get these out. That'll fall in, and I'll just have to clean it out of the door afterwards. These clips are all messed up. But okay, top one's off. So now we got to do the bottom one. Gotta get that nut off the bottom one. Same thing again. I think that one might be bigger than a 3/8. And what we'll do is when the car goes back together, I'm going to put these on before I put the door on, because that's going to make my life a heck of a lot easier. Nice if I could stick my socket in there. dropped it on the gravels, but I found it. So this right here is a speed nut. It's basically just a nut stamped out of some sheet metal. And this should come off the same way as the other one. One clip stayed in the molding. 2 clips stayed in. A couple of the clips stayed in. The other ones broke off. Just push them in the door. I'll get them afterwards. Not a big deal. I like to blow out and vacuum out the inside of the door before I paint anyway. I don't know if this car was like a midnight blue or something, or I don't know. Okay, gotta take this mirror off, which somebody put a flathead screw in there. And a strip Phillips in the front. I wonder if I could just take the front one off or if I have to take that one off. I don't think that's right. I think somebody put that in there. Usually there's just a screw in the front here, and there's a bracket that screws to the door that's L-shaped that goes like this, and then it bends back at an angle like that, and then this Phillips screw goes through it. And when the Phillips screw tightens up, there's another tab that comes this way, and it locks that part down. But I don't think that's right. I think somebody screwed that in there. He's gonna get new mirrors for it. That one's completely stripped. I'm just gonna put this mirror right in the back seat for him. Screws I'm not gonna save, they're all shot. See if I can even get this one out. Might have to drill that one. Or if I can get a square drive on it. Nope, I'm gonna have to go get a drill bit. Get a drill and a drill bit. Let's just try drilling through the head here. That was scary. Got it. And there's that angled piece. And look at it, it's all rusted up. So I'm gonna see if he can get a new one of those. I don't know if they come with the mirror or not. I'm gonna take out those 2 nuts, or bolts rather, which I believe is 5/16, maybe 1/4 inch. Yeah, we're gonna get a new bracket, because if we put that rusty bracket on a new paint job, the first time this car gets wet, rust is gonna start running down the side of this car and it's gonna look like hell. We probably could sandblast this, but for what this probably costs, it's not worth the labor. I'll save it for now so we have it. So basically everything is stripped off of this door that I need to strip off. I'm debating that top molding, if I want to take it off or not. Let's see if we can unbolt this door without messing with the fenders, which I believe I can get to it with these three, hopefully. Probably just gonna have to use a ratchet. Should be a 1/2 inch. Let's see. I'm kind of filming this whole process just to give you a rough idea about how long it takes to take one door apart and off the car. And obviously I'll have to shorten up some of the other stuff because I don't want this video to be huge. Okay, I have the top 2 bolts out. There's one more left in there. I'm going to work on the bottom ones now. I'm going to leave that one in there so far. Okay. Now I do have a door removal and installer that it rolls underneath the door and it clamps to the door, and you can take the door off and on by yourself. I'm not too concerned with taking the door off because these aren't real heavy, and I shouldn't damage it. Obviously we still have to do paint and body work to it, but after it's painted, it's nice to be able to roll that door right up into place and bolt it on yourself without having to have somebody give you a hand. So we have 2 bolts left, one at the top and one at the bottom. We're going to go ahead and take the bottom one out first, and at least then the door is still held on with the top hinge. This last bolt might be a little bit difficult to get to. Sometimes you gotta get a little creative. You know what? You know what I should be doing before this door comes off? Which is probably a little too late now, but I should have slid those hinges back a little bit. So we're just gonna have to be really careful when we put this back together now, because I should have aligned this body gap before I took it apart, but that's too late now. So just gonna continue on at this point. Just have to remember that this one is touching the quarter panel when I go to put it back on. Okay, we have one bolt left, which is the top one. Can I get that with the door like this? I think I might be able to. We'll obviously have to be a lot more careful putting it back together so we don't chip the paint when taking it apart. Longest bolt ever. There we go. That door's off. Lean it over against this box for now. Alright, so about however long that took is how long it took to get these door taken apart and off the vehicle. I'm going to go do the other side. Actually, what I'll do is let's move on to the quarter panel trim. Let's do that first. So let me get the trunk open and stuff. First thing I want to do is take off the Impala logo and emblems, or letters. We are going to put new ones on, but I am going to save these nuts. But we are going to put new letters on. I'm going to go grab another cup. We'll do both quarter panels into a cup. I took the cup from the passenger door, just left it on the passenger front floor. I'll do the same thing for the driver's door. I'll put a cup there for all the driver's hardware. And then I'm just gonna, both quarters are gonna use one cup because these are all pretty basic. These paint cups I just reuse from car to car. Okay, the nuts that hold the trim on are a little bit smaller. I believe those are 3/8. The nuts for the emblems are 7/16. Now, the new emblems, when they come, I believe they give you those sheet metal nuts rather than these closed nuts. I'll probably put the original ones back on if they fit on the aftermarket letters. And these nuts are really strange that they used for these moldings. They're like a plastic nut, and they're real long and weird shape. I think they did that to cover up the stud so you didn't get scratched or whatever when you're putting stuff in the trunk. Putty knife here. Start popping these off. Tell you what, I miss putting these trim pieces on these cars. Those 59s are such a pain in the butt compared to these. Save these clips, because these ones are, you might not be able to get them. You might be able to, I'm not sure, but definitely a must to getting those on correctly. Let's work on this, sliding this off now. Okay. Go down this one again, just like we did the upper. Oh, that one has a nut. Yep. I really like 64 Impalas. I like the body style of them. They're a pretty nice car. Okay, bottom one is off. And these clips, usually you can pop them from the inside, but can't always get all of them. These ones I might have to use a little pry bar on, and then these bottom ones are just shot. Put new ones into those. Let's try one of these pry bars. And these are just a plastic clip. They have little nipples on the back side, and then the molding snaps into there. We'll probably get new ones of these. I think they make the right ones. Okay, and then those other bottom ones, I just gotta break those off the rest of the way. And then our quarter trim is off. Except for this, I'm gonna take that off there. This isn't in too bad a shape, but unfortunately it's dinged there, so I don't know if he's gonna change that or not. Probably try to massage the ding out a little bit. Speed nuts. They always put that black goop around these, and what that does is seals water from getting into the trunk. So now that we have that off, I believe he's getting new tail lights, he said. So I'm going to grab a 7/16 socket. We got to pull these bumpers off. He's going to change the bumpers. Then they have a bar that holds the light assembly into the car. Somebody put blue dots in them. Okay, there's a tail light. The other ones are in the trunk lid. Those come out the same way. So now what I'm gonna do is, you saw how long it took me to get these two off. Let's go and get the fender off. And then at that point, I'm gonna jump to the driver's side and I'm gonna do all that off camera, because it's the identical same thing that we're gonna be doing that we did on this side for the other side. I'm trying to charge the battery because it was dead when I got here. And I don't know what it's doing. Don't know if it charged or not, or if the battery's bad. I think the battery might be shot. It was charging and then it stopped. Now these moldings, there's a nut here. Oh boy, there's nuts all the way down here. All three. Crap. Fender's the same way. I'm gonna have to take the fenders off this car. I don't want to do that. Don't really want to get into a huge ordeal here, but I'm probably not gonna have a choice, because I gotta get those moldings off of there. I mean, make it easier to paint, don't get me wrong. I love panel painting versus painting a car in one full shot. So it looks like, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to do that. The only downfall is I don't want to take the core support and everything out, or unhook the radiator or the battery tray or any of that. So I'm gonna have to get these fenders off. The inner fenders are gonna have to come off with it probably, which might pose a problem. Might be rusty under the battery, I'm not sure. We're pulling the bumpers off anyway, so that's not a big deal. And we are going to shave that antenna. That antenna is going to come off of that fender. I guess he's not going to put an antenna on it. If the guy, whoever buys it, wants to put antennas, these 64s, usually a lot of people put them on the quarter panel here. One that goes on each side and they tilt back on an angle. Those look a lot cooler than the ugly one on the fender. So I'm just going to leave that fender for now. I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to go get the other driver's door off and the quarter panel trim out. And then I'm going to take the lights out of the trunk lid. And then I'll show you those other moldings coming off. So I'll be back in a little while. Okay, I'm working on taking off these couple moldings on the trunk lid and the trunk lock. And I already took the moldings off this quarter panel. I haven't done that door yet. So on this trunk lid here, all the bolts that hold this on are on the inside. And there's little holes right here that you stick your socket through to get to them all. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this off, and then I'll come back and show you that. No point in filming this because you really can't see what I'm doing. Okay, I took all the nuts out of the center of this molding and then the other moldings off. Now on these, there has a Phillips screw on each side, just like on the door panels. So each side, and this is a machine screw rather than those other ones. So it has a machine screw finish on it. So we got to take out these two. That molding pops off. Now I believe he's going to have to get a new one of these as well because it's got a really big ding here. This stuff is fixable, but I think it's probably cheaper in this situation, the way that this car is getting done, to probably just buy an aftermarket one, save that original one, take it, send it out to California, get it fixed, and use it on a car that you're going to plan on keeping for yourself. Obviously, original trim is always nicer than a lot of these repop trims. So all that stuff always save on these Impalas. They can all be fixed, and it's just a better fit, a better quality. Now the only thing left I have on this trunk lid is this center molding, which also has bolts or nuts that go through there. And then we have this trunk lock. Now this trunk lock acts just like the doors. There's a clip right here, but this one has 2 screws in this clip. So you take out these 2 screws, and then you got to pry out this clip just like we did on the door, which I'll be able to get this in there. I have to use a screwdriver on this one. So you just kind of get it on one side. Never been out. Still has that original goop stuff in there. Okay. And you just carefully, now it doesn't come all the way out like the doors do. This actually is a complete circle. So once you slide this down, you can grab a hold of this lock and slide it out. Now we'll put a new gasket on the lock because this one's been painted, so we'll get a new gasket for that. And now that I slid that down, now we can slide this out of here. And you can see how that is. And this, I'll wire wheel this with my little bench wire wheel, and I'll probably just paint this silver. And so I just have to take off that center molding, and then I'm gonna take this latch off as well and wire wheel it and probably paint it silver. I like doing that with that stuff. It just looks better. And then we'll oil it up and everything after it's painted. And now on the weather stripping, this yellowish stuff you're seeing in here, there's a little bit of rust, but for the most part, that yellow stuff is the original glue adhesive that was used to hold this weather stripping in. I usually just take a flathead screwdriver and just scrape it out and lift this up while you're doing it. And then I can take a little wire wheel and put it in there and just wire wheel this down. And I believe that this rubber gasket here is supposed to be black. So I'm gonna have to ask him if he wants to put a new one on, because we're definitely, either way, this one's coming off. I'm not using this. There's paint stuck all over it. Yeah, so you could see, this should be black. Nobody spent the time to tape it off when they painted the car. Since we're taking the bumpers off, I'm gonna pull that off. It's all cracked anyways, so I'm not using that. So either A, we're gonna put a new one on, or it's going to stay without one, but I'm pretty sure he'll probably want to put a new one on. So I'm going to go ahead and get this trunk lock out, or latch out, and that trim going down the center. And after that, I'll unbolt the trunk lid, which I'm going to try to do that without using my, I have a cherry picker that has an attachment for putting hoods and trunk lids on, but I really don't feel like putting that all together today. I'm pretty confident I can get that off without doing that. Okay, let's see if I can get this trunk lid off without making a fool out of myself for not setting up the cherry picker with the lift. So I'm gonna take one bolt off of each side first. Either this is gonna go really well, or I'm gonna drop it. So I already unplugged the lights, the harness for the lights in the tail lights. Okay, now I have those out. I'm going to take this one out here. I'm going to gently let this slide down and sit on the car. Now I'm going to come over to this other side here. Take this last bolt out, and then we'll see if I can't just carefully take this off. I'm going to kind of let it just like that. Okay. Set it off to the side. That didn't work out too bad at all. I didn't really do any damage to anything. Nothing is dented or anything, so we're good to go. All right, so now I'm gonna get this weather stripping out. Then I'll get this door off, and then I'll come back to do the hood and the front clip, and then just there's some bumpers left, and that will be it for this video. It's going to be kind of a long video, but in all reality, it's probably 3 hours of work or so, maybe a little bit longer, but not too bad really to strip it down. And then tomorrow, like I said, we'll start doing body work on it. I'm going to make another video today. I'm going to get all the trim off for the windshield, get the windshield wipers off, all that stuff off this 59, so that tomorrow I can drop this new windshield in and fingers crossed it doesn't crack again. Like I was thinking with that crack, the only thing I can think of is there was a chip in the edge and I didn't notice it, and I put the weather stripping on, and just the stress of it being bowed into place, the pressure cracked it. It's the only thing I can come up with. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and get that driver's door off, get that weather stripping out, and then I'll come back and we'll work on the front clip. Okay, I went ahead and took off the door sill plate on this side, and then there was another little striker plate there, and then I took off these two. Because I'm taking the front clip off now, it's gonna make my life a little bit easier on putting the doors back on, because then it's gonna make it a little bit easier for me to adjust these hinges with the fenders off. So all that's taken apart. So now we need to get this center molding off the hood, and then get the hood off. And then at that point, we can start working on getting the fenders off. Actually, the front bumper, then the fenders, and then the rear bumper. And then this car is disassembled and will be ready for bodywork, paint, and reassembly. I know I make it sound like it's not much, but like I said, we're gonna go through this quick. I took a couple nuts off so far. These are holding the molding down the center of the hood. I have a new cup. So I have a cup for the passenger door, a cup for the driver's door, a cup for the trunk, and now a cup for the front clip. So everything will have its separate cup for everything. And I'm gonna have to take off this hood latch here so that I can get to that last nut that's holding on that hood holding, which is fine. We'll clean this latch up as well. You can see how easily a quick paint job can snowball into a restoration, which we don't want to do here. We're just doing a nice job. But you can easily see how it can turn into that. So we should have one more in here if I can see it, which I really can't see up there. Huh, where the heck is it at? I might have to play with that one for a minute, see if I can't find where that nut is up there. Okay, what it was these couple front nuts were 11/32. The one in the back were 5/16. So now we can lift this right off, put this off to the side, and then we have that front molding on the hood to do, and then we're ready to unbolt the hood. Okay, these ones look to be 3/8. Things are a pain in the butt. It's stuck in the socket. Underside of the hood, we'll sand it down and re-satin black it. After we paint the top side of the hood, we'll tape off the top side and paint the bottom satin black. Yep, dropped one. Luckily I have plenty more. I think that's all of them. Missing one. Grab my putty knife. go. Okay, now we can take the hood off, hopefully be able to do it myself, like I did the trunk lid. Nine sixteenths. Do the same exact thing, take out the top too. Now the fun part. Not going to be able to get my drill in there. I'm going to have to do it all by hand, which is going to slow it down. Let this come back and rest into the pocket of the cowl. So the hood is down into there. You got to be careful you don't bend the hood. Now we're going to take this one off, and then we should be able to just lightly hinge the hood down. Okay. Rotate it without hitting the windshield. All right, that is off. Now we can work on that front cowl piece. Get that out of the way. We'll probably get the hinges out of the way. I'm going to clean the hinges up too. Might as well. I'm taking this far apart. Might as well clean the hinges. This weather stripping just sits in the channel here. That gets unbolted, I believe. How's this thing go in? I forget on this one. But let's pop these windshield wipers. These have a clip on them or no? Forget how these ones are on. Yep, I gotta go get a hook tool. Have a little 90-degree hook tool. You lift this up, and there's a little button in there. You have to pry it. And this always chips the paint off of these, but it's mostly off now. Let me grab a little pry bar here. So what I did was I took my little hook tool, went in here, grabbed this, and I pulled it away. By pulling it away, it releases it and comes off. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to go do that and I'll come back. Okay, let's get this front cowl piece off. Windshield wipers are. Just have a couple 5/16 screws. We're just going to let that stay on there. These are the clips that hold those hoses in. Usually those are always lost, especially if a car's been torn apart before. But it looks like we're doing a lot of this for the first time on this car, which is good because it makes it a lot easier to reassemble when you take it apart yourself that was original. Once you take apart something that somebody else has messed with and they've used wrong bolts and connectors and stuff like that, it makes it a little bit more difficult to figure it out. And we'll probably clean these up and just paint them silver as well. For now, I'll just kind of drape it on the back of the motor. You don't want to put it by the fan and have the fan suck it up when I start the car to move it. So now this should pop up. Kind of hoping I can sneak it out. Got to get it out from underneath that molding. This weather stripping, I'm just going to lacquer thinner that down, clean it all up real good. We'll reuse that one. It's actually still pretty pliable. Come on. This side's hitting. Usually I'll put these on before the fenders because right now it's kind of hitting on the fender. So it's definitely, yeah, it's underneath the fender actually. Yeah, I screwed that up. So let's see, there we go. Now we're on top of the fender. Stuff like this, pieces like this, it is easier for me to go buy a $10–15 bag of sandblasting sand and just sandblast it. Sandblast it to bare metal, shoot it with epoxy primer, and go right into paint. Because if you use a real fine sand, you're not going to etch the metal. And literally, as long as there's no dents or dings, you can just sandblast it, epoxy primer, and put it right into paint. So that's what I plan on doing with that cowl because it looks like it's in good shape. So now let's go ahead and get these two hood hinges out of the way because they're just going to be a pain in the butt if they stay where they're at. 9/16. I don't know if my drill is going to be powerful enough to take them off, but we'll give it a shot. Got a mouse nest over here. We got a washer right here, or a shim rather. This was underneath the cowl on both sides. I do stock new ones of these, so I will be putting new ones of these in. But I'm gonna throw them on the floor, and I'm gonna remember that these went there because I'll just remember those two went there because they're rusty. I might wrap them in some masking tape and label them so I know. I don't know if I bent that up or if it was like that, but I'll just push that back down. So let's see if we can get these hood hinges off. I'll sandblast these hood hinges and just shoot them black again right away. Real quick and easy. All this little stuff is going to make a huge difference on how this car looks when it's done. Even if it's not a perfect paint job, by adding all this stuff sandblasted and painted, makes it look a million times nicer. And then you have new trim, new chrome bumpers. I don't know if he has new bumpers or maybe some used set that are in a lot better shape than what these are. Okay, I got that back one off. Let me see if I can use the drill on the front one here. one side. I don't think this battery is going to make it. It's not wanting to hold the charge very good. Unfortunately, batteries have gotten pretty expensive. I used to be able to get one for under $100. Now I think they're around $200. That's not the right air cleaner for this car. I think he said he had one. I don't think that's the right motor anyways. Okay, hood hinges are off. Now, I wonder, can I just leave the core support and the inner wheel wells in here and just pull off the fenders? I might be able to. Might be a bit of a hassle, but if I really don't have to get into tearing all that front end apart, I would really be happy if I don't have to do that. But first thing I need to do is drop these bumpers. So hoping to just drop this bumper in one piece. These are 3-piece bumpers. So they're bolted together here and here. 2 bolts and 2 bolts, but we're not going to take that apart. We're just going to leave it all as one, and hopefully he just brings me a whole new bumper assembled. If not, we'll have to assemble it. So I got to get under there, figure out what size bolts are under there. I'm guessing probably 5/8 and 9/16. I'm gonna have to get some different tools out now. I've managed to do this whole teardown so far with a 1/4-inch drive ratchet set and open end wrenches. That's it so far. So now I'm gonna have to get into some bigger tools because these bolts are probably gonna be tight. So let me go see what's going on. I'm gonna grab some cardboard to lay on and I'll see what I got going on under there. Okay, I'm not gonna video me unbolting the bumpers because I'm doing it from underneath the car. It's not on a lift. If it were up in the air on a lift, I would show you. But rolling around on the ground trying to video, it's gonna be next to impossible. So once I get this bumper pulled off, which I'm really not too familiar with it, so I gotta kind of look and see what I need to unbolt. I'm gonna try to leave as much bracketry as I can attached to the bumper and just drop it off as a whole. And then I can take the brackets off at a later time, sandblast them real quick, we'll shoot them black, bolt them onto the newer bumpers, and then put them back on the car after the car's painted. So like I said, it's gonna be too hard to video underneath there, so let me get it dropped down onto the ground and I'll kind of point to you what bolts I had to take off to get it off. Well, the bumper's almost off. There's 2 bolts under there that the nuts are spinning on the other side and I can't get to them yet. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is take some of this apart, see if possibly I could take the fender off. I don't know that I can, so I'm gonna work on taking off a lot of the fender bolts out and see where we end up. Stuck. This stuff I'll just sandblast with the hood hinges. Quick and easy. Make it look a million times nicer. are tight. Okay. Forget how these headlights come apart. All right, let me assess this for a little bit and figure out what I got to do next. Okay, so I had to cut a couple bolts back there because they were rusted solid. So now I'm going to take off these trim rings for the headlights and see what we got going on back here. I guess so much for my 3-4 hour teardown now that I'm running into some rusted bolts that I'm cutting and stuff. But that's all right, that's what happens. Fortunately, there's not much you can do about it. Just keep moving on. I just think that I'm just not real familiar with these front ends and stuff, so it's going to take me a little bit longer to tear it apart. This has got a screw here. I don't know if these are, yep, there's a bolt there and there, and then this wing can come out. I think this whole thing needs to come out as a unit. Unless I drill out these rivets, then I could pull the grill off, which I might end up doing anyway, so I can retouch up the black in there. So I got to get a wrench in there, and those look pretty small, like a 5/16 maybe. Let me go see. And I don't know if these are going to want to turn or not. Maybe they are 3/8. I thought they were 5/16. Grab a 3/8 real quick. All right. I think they're speed nuts, those metal nuts. And they're just wanting to spin. That's tightening it. There's one. Have to get a flathead screwdriver or something to hold that in place. Oh, I found a screwdriver, a bent one. Maybe that'll work. I found this in the car, in the frame. Maybe this will hold it in place. This one's just rounding. Not get this one started. Is it a different size? Feels like it. All right, I think it's an 11/32. Or it's just rounded out and it's not going to come off. And I'm starting to think it's rounded off and not going to come off. So, I guess it's time to cut it. big deal. We'll get a new slide-in clip if we reuse these. That was the messed up nut. Okay, now that we have that out, we get a little bit better look. Let's take these 2 screws out here. I don't know if this will fit or not. This car was doing good until I got to the front clip, and now it's just, everything's fighting me on this. Let me get something to try to get those off. Great. Might be cutting those off too. I'm gonna try one other tool. If you guys have never seen one of these, this is a screwdriver, and you turn it one way to tighten, one way to loosen, and you hit it with a hammer. And a lot of times it'll break one of these free, but I'm not sure. I gotta get a smaller bit. This is a number 4 Phillips. We need a number 3 Phillips. Well, I don't have a number 3 Phillips, so I guess I'm drilling them out. Figure it out later. Now, I wasn't going to reuse these screws anyways because they're too rusty. Now, I believe this should pop out. Oh, okay, it's all one unit. Okay. This is part of that. Some of you guys that do these 64s are probably looking at me like, this guy's an idiot. But hey, at least I admitted I haven't taken one of these apart in so long. I just don't remember how they come apart. We got a couple bolts there, which I really can't get to unless I get this bumper down. But I have some bolts on the bumper that are just spinning. I can't get those loose. So it's kind of turning into a bit of a nightmare up here. I could probably take the brackets out from there. That might do it. So we have a couple bolts in here, 1/2 inch. That might be able to do something. Try that real quick. Fortunately, I can't remember all these cars and how they go together, especially when you haven't done one for so long. I have to remove this battery. I have it on the charger. And of course that last one I can't get unless I remove the battery tray, which involves a bunch more work. I might be able to get an open end wrench in there. Just kind of hoping to not have to take that out as well as everything else. I got to try to keep labor costs down, so I can't be putting a ton of days of labor into this thing. It just won't be profitable for anybody. So just got to try to keep moving forward here and doing what we can. I got to get that windshield in that 59 this weekend. I wanted to get the moldings and stuff taken off this afternoon but we'll see what happens. I might quit on this project here in a little bit for the day and wrap up this video and then move on to the Impala. I'm just not sure yet what I want to do, but these stupid bees keep bothering me. So that didn't really do much of anything. All right, I'm going to stop the video for a little bit. I'm going to look around and see what exactly I have to unbolt, because I'm not really getting anywhere right now. Okay, I got the bumper assembly off. I had to cut two little brackets, these little brackets right here. He has a 4-door parts car, so I can just get them off of there. Hopefully I'll be able to get them unbolted, but everything was spinning and rusted. I could not get it to break free. So now that I've got the bumper off, I could see about getting the rest of this fender off. And then hopefully everything else should kind of start following in its place now. This one might be ready to come off. I think I got to separate this here. Got a couple 1/2-inch bolts right there I got to loosen up. So let me do that. So we're getting there. Slowly but surely. I have no idea how long this video is going to be. I mean, it might be a 2-hour video. I have no idea. I have not been keeping track of it or anything. And some more broken spinning bolts. Yeah, this front end's definitely seen a better day. It's a day. It's definitely never been apart. And it's got some serious rusted fasteners on it. So I guess I'm gonna go back to cutting fasteners off again, and I'll be back. Success! I got the fender off. Had to cut a bunch of the bolts that hold the inner wheel well in, because they're called capture nuts. They're like a clip that clips on there and there's a nut. Well, when they get old, they rust, and then when you go to try to loosen it, it just spins the nut and you can't do anything but to cut them off. So that's where that's at. One more fender left, and this car is stripped down as far as I'm taking it. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here. Obviously I got to do the same thing over here. There's really no point in recording it. It's just cutting a bunch of bolts until I get the fender off. So we'll end this here. This is going to be part 1 of the 64 Impala paint job and body work. If you guys are liking what you're seeing and would like to see this car finished, please like and subscribe, and I will probably see you guys tomorrow on this one. I'm probably going to go work on the 59 for a little bit, so that'll probably be the next video. Thanks, guys.